What's up everybody, Bandit here. So I got a day behind on this advent calendar, and that was just due to me working last night and not getting home till extremely late. So you'll see this video, it's December 3rd. I haven't done the second yet. I'm debating on whether or not I'll do two in this one video or just stay a day behind. I'm gonna go ahead and open this up so we can do day two. So like before, we'll go ahead and pull out the little hitchhiker's guide, and then we're gonna come over here, find day two, which is right here. We'll go ahead and pop that one open. Pull out this vial. So this one is going to be 46% alcohol by volume versus the last one being 44. It's a little bit stronger, but we'll go ahead and I've got my glass here. Go ahead and open this up. So like last time, give it a little smell. Smells a little bit different. Might be a rye. We'll find out when I taste it. Go ahead and stick the vial back in its little slot. And like last time, pretty decent sized pour out of those little 50 milliliter bottles. But we'll go ahead and give this a smell and a taste. So yeah, it's definitely gonna be a rye. I can taste that in there. I will say the one that I did, well now 2 days ago on the first, so that first vial definitely had more warmth to it. And by that, what I'm referring to is after you drink it and you swallow it, you'll get that like warming feeling coming back up. There was a lot more intense on that first vial than it is on this one. This one's, I would say, there's less warmth to it. It's a little bit smoother overall. We'll take another sip. Yeah, I would definitely say this one's a bit smoother. So we'll go ahead and open up the book and see what it says for day two. So here's day two. This is Catoctin Creek. So yep, Roundstone Rye, Distiller's Edition. So here's gonna say fruit, honey, strawberry, marmalade, cinnamon, pepper, rancio, and caramel. So, I mean, caramel is going to be a base in pretty much any bourbon that you drink, bourbon or whiskey. It's going to have a caramel taste to it. I would say I could pick up a little bit on the honey, but like the other ones, the marmalade, rancio, I'm not even sure what that is. Cinnamon, I really can't pick up on those notes. Someone with a more distinguished palate might be able to pick up on those things, but I can't. I do think this one's actually really good. Like I said, it's very smooth. You still do get the warming sensation coming back up, which is I do enjoy with bourbon and whiskey, but I will say it's not quite as much of a warming sensation than what Vial 1 had, which was the Wyoming whiskey. And it's definitely a bit smoother than what the Wyoming whiskey was. So now we'll go ahead and scan that QR code to see what further information we can get about this Catoctin Creek rye. Pull out my phone here, pull up the camera. There it is, open. All right, so Catoctin Creek, Roundstone, Distiller's Edition. So has 49 ratings right now. Overall, it's a 6.5 out of 10. A 750 bottle will cost you $56.99 on the Flaviar website. So that just shows what the booklet showed. So it says in 2009 in the backwoods of Purcellville, Virginia, Scott worked in software. Becky was a chemical engineer. Becky's passion for fermentation distillation process that brought this couple out of corporate American and into your liquor cabinet. So this little distillery by the creek, they produce a range of 10 spirits, including rye whiskeys, brandy, gin, and a handful of other drams. So it is a multi-award winner. 1 in every 10 casks is set aside for special release. So it's made from 100% rye grain, mashed, fermented, and distilled on site, aged for 2 years in new oak barrels. And then it says the smartass corner, which is just a little joke. So it says George Washington famously loved his rye whiskey. In fact, after he served as first president of the United States, he returned to his farm in Mount Vernon and started a small rye distillery of his own. I actually didn't know that, and I'm from Virginia, where Mount Vernon is. So Virginia is where I was born and raised. Little small town, middle of nowhere, farms and ranches. So that's how I kind of grew up, if I haven't mentioned that in the past. And Roundstone Rye caught the attention of Jim Murray, author of the Whiskey Bible, who called it a huge rye. Great fun. Rye sparked the first revolution after the American independence. It was called the Whiskey Rebellion, and it arose when the government tried to tax whiskey and enforce the taxation on distillers. The lesson here, don't mess with whiskey drinkers' dram. Rye, think of it as a bourbon's edgier cousin. It's known for what many call a spicy or fruity flavor. I would agree with the spicy. Rye is not on the sweet side and tends to have a spicier body. That's why the character of a cocktail made from rye instead of bourbon is drier. A decade ago, there were only 6 brands of rye whiskey hailing from Kentucky. Nowadays, there are more than 50. And back to the beginning. So that's a little bit about the company, Catoctin Creek, and a little bit about rye whiskey, some information you may not have known. But I'm going to go ahead and finish off this glass. And I'm probably going to go ahead and do day 3 once I finish this one off. But I'll be back with you in a minute. Band it out. All right, back with you. So I finished off that one. We're going to go ahead and open up day 3 since today is actually the 3rd of December. So day 3 is going to be right here. Pop that. So let's see. So this one's also going to be 46% alcohol by volume, just like the last one. Oh, this one's a product of Israel. So the other ones have said product of the USA. This one says product of Israel. So go ahead and open this one up and give it a smell. Ooh, I can definitely smell like the campfire. So like what a Scotch would be, but obviously not a Scotch since it's from Israel. So I'm assuming they just use peat in it as well. But it can't actually be called a Scotch due to not coming out of Scotland. There's our pour. Go ahead and put this cap back on this bottle, stick it back in the box, or on this vial. All right. So I'm gonna give this another smell now it's in the glass. Yeah, I can definitely smell the smokiness to it. So we'll give her a taste and see what she's like, since it's obviously not a true Scotch, but to me smells like it would mimic a Scotch. So we'll see how good Israel does. Oh yeah, you can definitely taste the peat in it, that smokiness. I would say it's, I mean, honestly, like it's good, but it's not as good as like the actual Scotches that I enjoy that are very smoky. In no way is it off-putting. It's still good, but I guess since I do enjoy Scotch and I do enjoy smoky Scotch, very peat rich Scotch, this doesn't quite sit on the same level as those do. And it could be simply from how long they age it or anything like that. It may not be aged as much because generally those very like smoky ones that I enjoy are a minimum of like 10 years. And typically I like around the like 15-year mark is really good. But we'll go ahead, open up the book, see what the book has to say about it. So day 3. So it's called Milk and Honey. Elements peated, Israeli single malt. So there's a picture of the bottle. And it says vanilla, oak, grain, peat, fruit, and lemon. Oh, and there's also ginger over here that I missed. So go ahead, scan this QR code as well. Come on, focus. There we go. Click that and see what the website says. So this is going to be rated 6.9 out of 10 with 15 total votes. Bottle is $67.99. I might pay that for this. Like, it's not bad. I'm so used to actual scotch that this is kind of disappointing. When I smelled it, I was super like excited about it because of me liking scotch, but then actually tasting it, I was kind of disappointed with it. All right, so it says Milk and Honey Distillery is the creation of serial tech entrepreneur Gal Kalkstein and his team. And I'm not going to go through all those names because I'm probably going to pronounce them horribly. So it says together they opened the first distillery in Israel. Together they drew up the plans in 2012 and started production in 2014. Their first products hit shelves 2016 and May of 2017. They announced their first single malt produced in Israel, the Milk and Honey Classic. Today their range includes new make, 2 gins, roots herbal liqueur, and a range of single malt additions. So it introduced the Element series in 2020. So it says for Milk and Honey Elements, peated single malt whiskey, the extra element of aging is refill whiskey casks that held a peated single malt from Islay, which is Scotland. So that's where they're getting their I guess, peat flavor from. So nothing tells me how much this was actually aged, unfortunately. But, oh well. So we can look into the smart-ass corner again. So it says 2 biggest whiskey producers in Japan and major rivals are Nikka and Suntory. I don't know why they really brought that up on an Israeli one. This one is about Irish whiskey. So yeah, so actually here's a funny thing. If I can get it to focus, it says, is it spelled whiskey with just a Y or whiskey with an EY? It says, maybe you've noticed it before, but let's take a wee moment to help you keep your E's in order with this simple rule. There's an E in the word Ireland, so there's also E in their whiskey. The rule also holds true for the United States. So while there is no E in Scotland, Japan, or Canada, the same goes for their whiskey. So it's only spelled with a Y. So if you didn't know actually how there's 2 different spellings for the word whiskey, how we spell it here in the US is going to be with an EY. And then any of your scotches that come out of Scotland are going to have not going to have the E in front of the Y. So this rated a 6.9 out of 10. It only has 15 votes. The last one I think was a 6.7 out of 10. Let me QR code that one again. 6.5 out of 10. I would honestly put this Catoctin Creek, that was day 2, over this Israeli peated whiskey. To me, that rye from Catoctin Creek tasted better than what this Israeli whiskey does. And I guess, like I said, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I enjoy scotch and I have a very particular taste when it comes to scotch, and this doesn't quite meet that bar of what I enjoy when it comes to scotch. So that is my opinion of it. I would also say that I would almost rate Catoctin Creek a little bit better than the Wyoming whiskey. That was day 1. We'll go ahead and scan that QR code again because I don't think I talked about what that rated on the website. So we'll pull up day 1 again and scan that QR code. So that rated a 7.6 out of 10. And like I said, it was a very good bourbon, but I do like how day 2, the Catoctin Creek, was a bit smoother than what this Wyoming whiskey was. So the Wyoming whiskey, like, you took a sip of it and it takes a little bit of your breath with it, where the Catoctin Creek didn't do that. So it was a lot smoother. You didn't quite get the same warming effect that you did with the Wyoming whiskey, but you still got the warming effect. And so I would honestly personally put Catoctin Creek over the Wyoming whiskey. I thought that was a really good rye. And I am particular about my ryes. Some ryes I like, some ryes I can't stand. And there really is no in between where it's like I either like the rye a lot or I dislike it. And I liked that rye a lot. So again, that's kind of my thoughts on these past 3 days of the Advent calendar and the whiskeys that have been provided by it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you got any questions, feel free to ask. I'll try to do my best to answer them. And as always, stay safe out there. Keep the rubber side down. I'll see you on the road. Bandit out.